So having recently got back into playing hardcore WoW, I've found that I have spent an awful lot of time playing recently, and I have got myself to level 40 and was needing to grind out gold to get my mount. Now, luckily I realised this a few levels in advance because I actually quite like being able to set myself little goals in WoW, including being able to get my mount the moment I turn level 40. Now, in order to be able to do this, you do need to be fairly optimal when it comes to gold farming. I have made a guide previously looking at the best gold farming methods that you could use, most notably where you could farm mobs, if you were not to include any profession considerations whatsoever. Now, this character that I have just recently got up does have professions, and there is no denying that professions are an excellent way of making money, even if you are playing self-found and therefore unable to trade with other players. With that being said, I went out on the look for a new opportunity that might be able to improve on my gold returns per hour comparative to the ones that I previously mentioned in my other guide, and I found this. Now, this is Witherbark Village in the Arathi Highlands, and this is one of actually many places that I tried out for the same reasons that I will talk about in just a moment, but this is the one that I found to be the most lucrative. Now, for clarity's sake, I have relevant professions for this farm of mining and engineering. Now, for this farm to be a particularly good farm, you are probably going to want to have those two professions, or at the very least mining. With that being said, this is hardcore, and the overwhelming majority of people that are playing Self-Found do use mining and engineering as their professions of choice because target dummies are absolutely amazing. So, with all that being said, what is it that we are here to farm? Now, there are two main notable things that we're here to farm. First of which is mining nodes. That's probably obvious from what I've just been saying, but around Witherbark Village, there are a very large amount of mining spawn locations for mineral nodes, which will almost always be iron, which is what we're hoping to get. Now, iron can be used as the primary method of making gold at this level for engineers, as the iron ore that you will obviously smelt into bars, and the heavy stone that you can convert into heavy blasting powder are all you need alongside silk cloth to be able to craft grenades. Now, the grenades themselves sell for ever so slightly more than the value of these materials do. However, when crafting, you can get between 1 and 4 grenades. So, in principle, if you were the luckiest person alive, you could quadruple the value of the gold that you would ordinarily get from vendoring these materials if you were to sell them raw. That in of itself is absolutely wonderful, but one thing I did mention that you probably picked up on is that you would still need silk cloth, and that brings us on to the second half of this farm, which is killing the mobs in the area. Now, these Witherbark trolls are actually very easy to kill. They are a low enough level that you can actually start farming here at a relatively low level in the early to mid 30s to get sure that you are going to have the money by the time you get to level 40 for your mount if you wish to do so. And as you get higher and closer to your mount, of course, these mobs are just going to become more and more trivial. But at no point will they actually go to be grey before you achieve level 40, which means that you will be getting experience while you're doing this farm as well. It is not strictly for gold, although the experience returns are minimal once you get to those higher levels. These trolls drop great grey items, some of which that I got were actually about 50 silver to 1 gold in value at this level, which is absolutely phenomenal. And most notably, they also drop an abundance of silk cloth. Now, the silk cloth is twofold in its use. Not only is it going to be used, of course, for making the grenades, but you will find that you get far more silk cloth than you do the ores and the stones from the nodes. But these abundance of silk cloth can also be crafted into bandages, which, if of course you are an appropriate level where you actually need these bandages to be able to do the farm, it is something that's just going to make it self-sustaining. But if not, you are able to craft these bandages and vendor them also for additional gold returns. Beyond that, these trolls are of course humanoids, so they do drop just raw coin as well, which is a notable amount. Unfortunately, in terms of the footage that I'm gathering for you, the Loot Appraiser add-on that I am using doesn't actually give the value for all of the grey items. A lot of them are displaying as 0 copper, so I can't get accurate results in regards to how much gold per hour I was achieving. However, every time I returned to town, which was about every 40-45 minutes, as that is how long it took to fill my bags, I was making about 10 to 15 gold, I would say, per return to town. Personally, I think this is absolutely fantastic. Now, the crafting time needs to be considered, which isn't nothing. However, you don't need to go anywhere to do your crafting, as there is an anvil and a forge in the nearby villages for you to not have to leave Arathi Highlands, as well as a vendor right next door, so you can just sell the materials directly to the vendor afterwards as well. While mentioning the local towns as well, it is worth noting that this farming location is very conveniently located, being directly south of the Horde settlement in Arathi Highlands, and just a short walk south, so you don't have to worry too much about your capacities for travel time considerations when performing this farm. Now, that's the majority, if not all, of the good mentioned. I do also like to talk about the bad as well. So, first and foremost, of course, is that this farm is primarily for people who have those professions. If you do not have mining, first aid, engineering, this is going to be a significantly weaker farm. I am reliably informed that the herbs in the area are good as well. However, that is secondhand information. I never take herbalism, so take that with a pinch of salt. And I also don't know how well you would be able to convert said herbs on self-found into gold, but that is something to consider. Beyond that, there is also the fact that while this farm is at no point been busy for me, it is certainly not an unknown farm. I'm not breaking new ground here, just more highlighting it to those who don't know, as well as helping you to optimize this farm. So you will find on occasion that there are other people here as well. That being said, it is not all that challenging for 2 people or even 3 people to easily sustain this farm. And of course, we do play in the modern era where the more people are here, the quicker the respawns are going to be. There's going to be layering, things of that nature. So I would not let that be a big consideration for you. The final major consideration is the difficulty of the farm. Now, this farm could pretty much be summed up in 2 halves. There is the outdoor farm, which, if you are a lower level, is the only part that you are going to want to do. And it is certainly an excellent farm in of itself. But there is also, at the southeast corner of the village, a cave, which has slightly higher level mobs within it, as well as being slightly more densely packed with both the mining nodes and the mobs. It is considerably more challenging to do the farm inside of the cave, however the gold returns are considerably better as well. So that is a consideration if you are playing a class that is not particularly good in caves, or playing a class that is a lower level, or you're under geared and you're going to struggle to do this farm. You may find yourself restricted to doing just the outdoor portion, and when you are at a higher level, you can then consider moving yourself into the cave as well. Now, inside the cave, there is also going to be mithril node spawns, which is fantastic for getting a jumpstart on the next level of your professions, but do bear in mind that you will want to be at least 175 in order to be able to mine those. Speaking about skill levels, it is worth mentioning that you of course do have the potential to level your professions in this location with this farm. You do not need to be at a high level with your professions in order to be able to do everything that has been mentioned so far. So if you also want to get a jump start on your professions, or if you've fallen behind and you're looking for somewhere to farm to be able to get yourself caught up, this is also going to be an excellent option for you. With all that being said, I think that's all I've got for you in this video today. A nice simple one for you all, but I do hope that you find it is helpful in order to be able to get your characters their mounts at level 40. If there's any other considerations for farms or any other professions that you may have that you're looking towards guides to be able to get your gold sorted on the hardcore self-found, then please do let me know down below, and I hope to see you in the next one. Laters.